Hey, Anne or Anna. Sorry if I'm not sure exactly which one of those is your name. My name is Christian Ostmo, and this audit is going to walk you through some weaknesses and strengths your website may have in terms of design and optimization. Just for a bit of background, I am a web designer and I have been for about a decade. I currently call London home, but I grew up in the tech world of kind of Silicon Valley, San Francisco area. I specialize in something called conversion rate optimization, which means that I build websites that sell better, they get more subscribers, gather more leads, that sort of thing. They generally convert better. That's where conversion comes from. I'm not sure. I'm not here to comment on how good or bad your design is because those are subjective. Other than to point out whether it's organized or disorganized in terms of what the customer or the reader is looking at in your case. But I will use my data-driven knowledge to tell you what sells and what doesn't, what gets subscribers and what doesn't. And so, without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing that I notice right away is it will probably work better this time, but your website takes a very long time to load. And when I say very long time, I mean very, very long time. I'm going to get into something a little bit technical. If you take a look at, this is a web speed test that I ran. I don't know if you know if you can understand exactly what is happening here, but this is basically my server that tested your speed, waited for a whole minute, 60 seconds, and this is in San Jose, by the way, San Francisco area, and it never loaded. This is what it found. Your website literally didn't load. This is the test that I normally run on the website. I did the same thing from Stockholm because that's the closest server to where you're obviously from Amsterdam. You speak in Dutch, which means that your customers are probably also from Amsterdam or perhaps South Africa. I don't think there are that many Dutch speakers around the world, but there are going to be some, especially travelers, who might be searching for your website around the world. But Stockholm or Europe is probably more your target market. So I searched in Stockholm, and I got the exact same thing. 60-second load time, still didn't come up with anything, which means that basically you've got people who may be trying to read your blog who can't even get there. This is a massive problem, and I don't want to scare you or anything, but this is a massive problem. I went ahead and went on a different website with different servers to see if I could actually get your website to load, and I did. I used this one, but again, this is massive problem. Let me go and I'll show you in a second. This is it right here. So basically, what I can show you right here is this right here, this first byte speed. Let me get that a little bit. This first byte speed is like basically when I enter in your URL, this is the first thing that comes back from the server. So it took almost 7 seconds to get anything back from the server. And what you'll see right here is my test ran. It took 21 seconds to actually load your website. That's what that means. It took 21 seconds to show this. Now, if I were to contrast that with my own website, for example, my Osmosis Labs, I can show you right here. It took 0.41 seconds for my server to show something, to send something back, and exactly 1 second to start rendering. And maybe for everything to be loaded, it took 2.28 seconds. Even for yours, it took like 9 seconds to even show anything, and 21 seconds to show everything. Like I said, this is a massive problem. This is probably, I don't want to insult you or anything, but this is probably the worst one that I've seen. So you need to do something about that if you want your blog to. I mean, obviously, if this is just a personal blog, you don't care if anyone reads it. That's totally fine. Who cares? Then so be it. That's going to be you. You do whatever you're going to do. But I'm going to show you exactly what you can do to fix that. And it kind of depends on who your content management system is. I see that you're using a theme, which tells me that you might be using WordPress. Let me check. That's what most people are using here. but again, it's taking a very long time. So you are using WordPress. That's great. WordPress is awesome, but you need a different server. I don't know who you're using to host, but since I know that you're using WordPress, I would suggest these guys. WPEngine.com. They are much pricier, but they are much faster than whatever else you're using. They cost $29 a month. If you do become, sometime in the future, if you become a client of mine, I host all of my clients' websites, and I actually do just as good a job as WP Engine for a bit cheaper. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know. If not, but continue. So basically, what you can do to increase the speed of your website is use these guys as a host, or if you don't want to pay that much, you can add something called a VPN. A CDN, excuse me. A CDN is a content display network, and what it does is it will cache your images and your code and things like that, and put it on faster servers around the world. So you're actually going to get a faster website. It's not going to be massively faster compared to like getting a whole new host, which I in my opinion you really need, but it is going to help you speed up a little bit. So that is my first suggestion. Get a new host, or at least get a CDN. If you have any questions about what those are or how to get them, contact me and I can go into more detail about that. But then let's move on. So that's the first thing that really struck me, is that it actually took, on my device here, it took a long time for you to load anything. And the biggest problem is probably your host, but your second largest problem is that your website is very image heavy. And so what I would suggest you do is compress your images. Since you're using WordPress, you can use a plugin, let me see, WP Image Smusher. This will like optimize your images automatically. Smush image compression optimization. Something like this. I like this app. It's pretty good, this plugin, and you can install this directly on your website. This will help you speed up your site a little bit. It's not going to solve all your problems, but it will help for sure. Again, there are all these little things that kind of add up. A new host, a CDN, this image compression, all that kind of stuff. It adds up. So that's definitely something that you can do. I see that you have. I don't speak Dutch, so I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to go through everything here, but I can definitely see kind of what you're working with here. Now, the next thing in terms of like visual and design, this is okay, but the problem here is that you're really going dark letters on a dark background, and so it's like barely visible. I would definitely suggest. If you go to I'll show you something right here. You can use letters like this, dark on dark, but what I would suggest you do is let me show you something right here. If you go to, this is one of my websites. If you go to this website right here, what you'll notice is that I have text, and this image back here is actually really light. But I put a darker blue kind of semi-transparent layer on top of the image, but below the text. And what that does is it brings out the text so you can see it much better. It's a lot better than like putting these white underlines underneath it, it looks like that's what you've done. There is something that I do like about your website, and that's that you have it's very simple right at the beginning. You have the name here, which is great, and you have your name immediately right there, and then you have something called a call to action. This is the action that you want people to take as soon as they get to your website. Naturally, when somebody gets to a website, they will read from left to right, and then they will read from top to bottom, and they will end up right about here. It's maybe more like here. It's what I call the center of the page, right? Generally, what you want to do, and if I show you my website here, what you want to do is I'll take another screenshot so I can show you a better look. What you want to do is you want to say something important: what you are, share your best, gain from the best, what or who you are, and then something like this, which gives the people a bit of, like why they should care. This is for the lean entrepreneur. This is the best skill swapping at. You know who we are, and you know why you should care. And then with that, you hit them with the call to action, get free access. And I'd say On this website, around 90% of people click this button because that's exactly what I want them to do. This website is designed specifically for that. So what I really like about your website is that you have a call to action. It says videos. You clearly want them to press this button. This has been like, hold on 1 sec. That's all right. I'm not sure exactly. You have a call to action. That's exactly what you want them to do. And you have them click it. It takes them to YouTube, to your YouTube channel, which is great. If that's what you want them to do, that's great. But I think that you should maybe consider, that possibility. Think about exactly what you want them to do. Put a button right here. Tell them who you are. Send me postcards. Tell them why they should care. Maybe it's, super cool, I don't know, image or travel photography, etc., or the best travel blog in all of Amsterdam, something like that. Those are obviously vague and generic, but you can say something along those lines. And then this is great. You have popular articles. Again, I don't read Dutch, so it's hard for me to tell exactly what all of these are, but then you have your blog articles, and you continue. The one other big problem that you maybe don't realize here is that your images are really big, and I'll get into that more in a little bit, but about how big they are. But what you should be doing is compressing your images and maybe using 72 dpi. Like this image right here is clearly blown up way out of proportion. You don't need to be using such a big image. You can certainly use backgrounds or layered backgrounds or something like that. I kind of wonder what this is. Coral themes. Yeah, so I don't know. Coral themes might be the culprit for some of this stuff, but anyway, I would definitely suggest some of those things. Okay, so that's basically it. I've told you about the speed. I've told you about the design. You definitely need a new host if you want to get better, but let me go into, this is my SEO optimizer. It tells me kind of what the deal is. Or there might have been something cached. I'm not exactly sure why that wasn't showing, but I went ahead and put it in my my incognito mode and did it. Might be something cached in my browser. It's not letting it do it. So anyway, this is my search engine optimization kind of analysis here, and it will give you a better idea of what you should be working on. And it might take a while because your website does take a long time to load. So hang on, hold tight for a second here. See, look at this. This is a big problem. The web pages return no content in our crawler, meaning results shown in this report may not be accurate. And so your website's basically not really returning anything back. So this is a problem. My guess is that your website is very old. Again, this is completely to make you better. This has nothing to do with personal insults or anything like that. I don't think that I'm trying to take anything out. I just want to kind of make the internet better, and I want to give something back to bloggers. You know what I mean? Okay, so basically your page speed, we've already gone into that. It needs some improvement. Your server took a long time to respond. Your content took a long time to load. Your everything. And it looks like the biggest culprit is those images. And so that's going to be your problem. Other than the host, the biggest thing is this right here. Your let me just save photos. This right here, this purple, and I'm coloring it red, but this purple right here is all of your images. Oops. And so that is going to be your biggest culprit in terms of what you can reduce on your website to make it faster. Again, I do still think that you need to change hosts, but that will definitely help if you can reduce those. Okay, so moving on from this here. No JavaScript errors, that's a good thing. Your social media, you don't have any social media connected, but that's, hardly an issue, I guess. This is going to be really important in terms of like your Google ranking and kind of how important Google thinks you are. This is called SSL, which basically, if you were to go to, let me just go back to these websites over here. If you were to go back to one of my websites, you say Drop Your Swap, for example, or actually I'll just go back to my company website so you know what it is, Osmosis Labs. What you're going to see, what you're going to see is this right here, this little green security, or lock, it's called lock, of course, and the HTTPS. If you take a look at your website, you don't have that over here. It's just an I, right? That not only tells the reader that this is a trustworthy website, but it also tells Google that you're a trustworthy website. And so Google, without that, is going to penalize you for, you won't show up as high in search results. And so you really need something like that. And in the future, it's going to get even worse. So that's definitely something I would suggest that you do. Again, all of my clients have SSL. That's just part of the deal. Okay, let me continue here. Back in HTTP redirect. This stuff is pretty much all expected. I'm looking for one thing in particular that I think I just cummed over and missed it. It's possible that it's not even showing it because not all of the content loaded. So yeah, I think that to be perfectly honest, I'm not here to like really sell you on anything. I really do hope that this video helps you act on it yourself. But there are some really big problems with this website, and I would suggest a complete redesign. I would suggest better hosting, a CDN. I mean, if you want to be really serious with this, if you're not really like, if you just want it to be your personal thing and you really don't care if anyone reads it, that's totally cool. And just keep doing what you're doing. If it were me, I would want it to look better just in general, anyway. But yeah, so again, let me just check over my list here and see if I missed anything. Nope, looks like that's it. So, if you hopefully you're not too insulted. Again, do not take anything personally. This is only to make you better. If you feel like it, go check out my website. It is osmosislabs.com, spelled OSTMOSIS labs.com. You can go and take a look at my portfolio and that sort of thing. Yeah, and so I know starting a blog is a very difficult thing, and so to say that you've done that is really admirable. There's nothing easy about it. I'm trying to say that you've done a really good job so far. As I'm sure you know, all the information in this video is free, but if you do want to take it to the next level, that's what I do for a living. So if that's something that you're interested in or getting more information about, just send me an email or contact me, through my website or just on Instagram works too. But yeah, cool. So I guess I'll talk to you next time.